I don't think this needs to be said, but Doors is a game that is no surprise to secrets. I mean, there's secret rooms, secret items, even secret entities. Kinda. However, hiding within the game is an entire location that is secret. One that takes somewhat significant lore analysis to determine even exists. This location has existed for over a year now, and still many people aren't even aware of its existence or significance to the game's overall story. What's more, it's likely this location will become way more important later on, as the game updates, and nobody really knows anything about it. So, in this video, I'm going to be analyzing this secret location and revealing to all of you viewers what it is, what it means, and how you yourself can actually get there. Strap in, as this video is going to get pretty wild. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so to start off, I want to ask you, the viewers, a question. Why do you think a stone staircase exists in the Doors lobby? Essentially, if you leave the hotel through its entrance doors, you'll notice a mysterious stone staircase leading towards them that seemingly originates from an ocean below. Players cannot physically access this ocean. An invisible barrier in the lobby prevents them from entering. However, isn't it odd that the staircase is here in position directly in front of the hotel entrance? A crosswalk was even recently added to further exemplify how the entrance of the hotel and the staircase are connected. What does it mean? Well, given how the staircase forms a direct path from the ocean to the hotel, it strongly implies that something or someone emerges from the ocean to then climb up the staircase and travel it to the hotel. Now, the only being present in the lobby that could have traveled from the ocean is the player. But that raises the question of why did we come from the ocean? Fortunately, the game gives us a rather straightforward answer to that. Whenever the player dies normally and talks to either Guiding Light or Curious Light, they speak in what appears to be inside of an ocean. The surface of water can be seen in the sky, and bubbles can be seen floating all around. Given how the player is transported to the lobby after each death, it can be assumed that the staircase and the ocean act as a direct in-game explanation for how the player gets from the death screen back into the lobby. When the player dies, they get sent to the ocean where they speak to an architect. Afterwards, they float to the surface where the staircase is, and climb up it to get back up into the lobby. Not only does the explanation just fit thematically with what's seen in-game, but it's also proven by a painting in the outdoors. The Sea of the Dead painting, which was canonically drawn by Curious Light, who is an architect, depicts dead players floating in an ocean, which symbolizes that all players eventually end up here when they die. The painting also gives the ocean location an official name, that being the Sea of the Dead, meaning the secret area actually has an official name in-game. It's not just the ocean, such as how I've been referring it to as. Now, like I mentioned previously, the Sea of the Dead is that secret location I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and it is very strange, even with its connection to the lobby and the death screen. For one, in addition to being right next to the lobby, the Sea of the Dead also connects to the mines and the outdoors. As you may know, at the very end of floor 2 and at the entrance of the castle, an ocean, which is very likely to be the Sea of the Dead, can be seen right behind the rift. Additionally, in a particularly rare outdoors room, a dock can be found that leads directly to the Sea of the Dead. This one ocean connects most of the floors in-game with outdoor access, meaning theoretically it could be traversed to travel to all of them. What's more, this interconnectivity allows us to almost map out what the entire world of Doors looks like, and that reveals some pretty interesting stuff. Who knew that this location has existed in-game for so long, yet so many players never actually realized it was even there? It was just a body of water is what they probably thought. I don't know, I'm not the normal Doors player, I'm a theorist, so I'm a little weird. As you may know, the Doors world is non-Euclidean, meaning the normal rules of elevation and position don't really apply here. This is why we fall super deep into the mines at the end of floor 1, yet the surface is mere feet above us at the end of floor 2. The layout of the world changes constantly. Outside of the Doors world are multiple different mediums of existence, all which interchange positioning because the world constantly changes. For example, outside of the hotel is just the normal atmosphere, the same atmosphere we see outside of the lobby and in the outdoors. However, outside of the back door, it's just the vacuum, which is pure nothingness, similar to the vacuum of space. It's not normal for there to just be random vacuums of space, where the atmosphere should be, hence the non-Euclideanness of the Doors world. The Sea of the Dead could technically count as one of these outside mediums, occurring within the game's normal atmosphere yet outside of all the land. It's almost like the entire game of Doors takes place on a giant island, an island that sits in the middle of the Sea of the Dead. Then the Sea of the Dead takes place in the atmosphere of the game, which is just the purple sky, and then that all sits in the vacuum, which could parallel the vacuum of space. The non-Euclidean nature of Doors can mean stuff can be jumbled around, as I've previously described, but that's generally what seems to be happening here. Now, unlike the vacuum in just the normal atmosphere of the game, the Sea of the Dead is actually traversable. The player themselves go inside of it to speak with the architects. So that begs the question, will we ever be able to go into the Sea of the Dead again? I mean, if we ever do meet the third Red Architect in person, we would likely speak to them in the Sea of the Dead, just like we do with the other architects. However, given how it appears very easily accessible from the other floors in the game, as I've previously mentioned, will we ever enter the Sea of the Dead in a scenario without us dying? Well, let's just explore that possibility for a little bit. If the ocean surrounding the Doors world was going to be incorporated into the game as an actual explorable location, I believe it would be handled similar to the vacuum in the back door. As you may know, the vacuum is an incredibly lethal hazard, so the player could never realistically just walk through it. The same logic could be applied to the Sea of the Dead. We won't just swim through it in a normal playthrough. Instead, kind of like how the vacuum is incorporated into the design of the back door, I believe the Sea of the Dead would be incorporated into the design of a future floor. At some point, we may need to walk across wooden docks that are placed above the sea, or navigate a ship floating on top of it, or something like that. This is all very speculative, but given how prevalent this one location is within the entire game, I think it's possible we could come face to face with it in a future floor. At least not when we're dead, assuming this is all happening when we're alive. The Sea of the Dead exists as a location within Doors between life and death. Whilst we are alive, we can see it bordering the lobby as well as some other floors in the game. Whenever we die, we encounter the architects directly inside of the ocean. Given the location's prevalence all throughout the entire game's floors, it's possible the events of Doors take place on an island, resting on this massive barren ocean. In the future, we may be able to directly interact with the Sea of the Dead, similar to how we interact with the vacuum in the back door, and that could make for an interesting hazard. I definitely would be on board with adding this to the game. Still, I think this is one of the coolest secret locations in the entire game, and its lore implications are quite phenomenal. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of the Sea of the Dead. Do you think this location will become more important later on, or will it always just be an ocean surrounding the Doors world? Also, let me know if you knew this thing existed all the way back before this video was created. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.